Hey guys, welcome to Podkinz and welcome to my co-host today, Steve Webkinz.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Today is a momentous occasion, Steve. It's been a long time coming. It is the premiere, the launch of Webkinz X.
Yeehaw.
How excited are you?
Oh, very excited. And it's been a lot of work. Hard to tell with all the other stuff that we've had going on this year with 10th anniversary and all that. But even when all that was going on, we are all here hard at work every single day working on Webkinz X. And it's a huge relief to finally have it out there for everyone to play and enjoy.
Absolutely. We want to encourage everyone to log on and just explore it and see it for yourself. And I know everyone has seen previews, but there's nothing like actually going into the game and just exploring and seeing what you like.
Come in, play, check out what's new, check out the new experience, enjoy taking better care of your pet, and let us know what you think. Come on to Webkinz News, leave a comment, either here or on one of the other articles that we have explaining all about what we've done with Webkinz X. We'd love to hear from you and love to hear your feedback.
Absolutely. And Steve, you mentioned caring for your pet, which is such a central part of Webkinz X and to the game itself. So going on from there, today we are talking about food and recipes in Webkinz World, which are both great ways to really show your love for your pet and really take care of them. So you are the resident recipe expert, I would say, in Webkinz World. Have you come up with a ton of recipes in your time here?
Oh, yes. There's so many different types, too. I mean, we've got your stove recipes, sandwich makers, blenders, and then we got even more complex with a mega stove, which can actually combine 5 different ingredient foods. And then on top of that, the super hard ones, which are the super chef recipe foods, which actually takes 3 recipe foods. So not only do you have to solve the recipe foods in the first place, then you have to combine those 3 solved recipes into a super chef recipe. So yeah, very tricky.
Yeah, and we are going to talk a little bit more about those later on. In the meantime, Steve, you obviously have a love for food in Webkinz World. Are you a good cook in real life?
Absolutely. I cook all the food at home.
Nice. That's really great. I'm not a great cook. I love food, not great at cooking. You'll have to give me some tips.
I think the real trick in cooking is that you pick a handful of dishes that you can do really well. And you just, you find your favorites, and there's a certain amount of comfort in comfort food and comfort recipes that, something quick and easy and that you really enjoy. If you can master a few recipes in your lifetime, then it's, something you'll really enjoy.
Absolutely. Now, shall we check what's in our Kinz post?
Yes.
In our last episode, we asked you about your favorite recipes and more in Webkinz World.
Birthday November wrote, I love cooking on Webkinz. It is so much fun. My Webkinz pet, Pink Cherry, my cherry soda pup, loves fish sticks, so I feed her them whenever she is hungry.
Fish sticks are a classic. Fractal wrote, if we were talking about Webkinz recipes, my favorite would have to be stick-a-goo cake, simply because I know I'd stuff my face with it in real life. Toffee plus cake plus chocolate milkshake equals, and then she scratched out rotting teeth and wrote best food. She's got a point. She continues, but if we're talking about real recipes, then my mom makes the best fudge cheesecake ice cream ever. And I can't really decide which I like best because they're all the best. I can't cook myself, though. I can kind of make toast.
Good try. You got to start somewhere.
Same. Yeah, exactly. Just master toast and go from there.
Exactly. Alice184 commented, Chef Gazpacho is fun to watch. One of the first recipes I ever made was Atomic-alicious Punch. I just love Goober and have 191 stars on the Atomic Adventure game so far.
Wow.
I like that the recipe food is so interesting. Some of them look really funny. Yeah, we really try to be creative with them, and some of them look absolutely delicious. I'd love to see real creations of our recipe foods in real life. That would be quite cool. I'm not sure how well some of them would taste necessarily, because some of them look better than they might actually taste, but some of them do look actually delicious.
If anyone out there wants to try to make one of these recipes in real life and then share the pictures with us, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
In a Cup 2 wrote, I'm a Daisy Dough fan because I feed my pets stuff I grow in my garden. I love to use fresh food in recipes.
Absolutely. If a recipe requires strawberries, say, but you can also buy strawberries in the W shop and grow them in a growing garden, actually you can use the exact same ingredient. So you can choose to go the freshly grown route or you can go the store-bought route. It'll work either way.
That's fantastic.
Fairy16Flower says, I love to make recipes for my pets. I have all my recipes written down in my Webkinz binder. I have one of each of my recipes in coolers in one of my outdoor rooms in my Webkinz house. I like the Bella Tart recipe best because I think it's very pretty.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Gazpacho because I love his cooking show and watch it a lot in my pet's room. I think he's very funny and feel nostalgic. Since when I started Webkinz, he was always there.
Aw.
I do like Daisy Doe's restaurant and wish there was a snout room in the clubhouse.
There's an idea right there.
Yeah, so
Not
those
bad.
people who aren't maybe familiar with snout, it's from one of the W Tales when Chef Gazpacho had his, it talks about his restaurant and when he had an earlier competitor and talked about him opening his Le Snout restaurant. So a little bit of Webkinz lore there for anybody who wants to check out some of the old W Tales.
Nibbles123451209 emailed us to say, I love that you're talking about food. I'm a big Daisy Doe fan. I have the hat, shoes, shirt, and pants. She's my favorite character in Webkinz World. My favorite recipe is probably the fish and chips dinner. My favorite PSF is Pinkberry Punch from the Pizzazzy Pup. P.S. Can you make a room theme of Daisy's Diner available for Kinz Cash? If you could, that would be great. Have a great summer. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. It's our favorite tagline, isn't it?
Thanks for writing in. If you want to write to us, leave a comment in the section below this article or on YouTube, or email us at podkinz@gans.com.
So, Steve, this is a new topic for us. Food and recipes are such a huge part of Webkinz World. From PSFs to food prizes to making recipes, it's a central part to caring for your pet. I think first off, why don't we talk about PSFs, so pet-specific foods.
Yes.
You and I are both on the creative team, so we play a role in making and coming up with pet-specific foods. Let's talk a little bit about how we invent these.
Sure. I think everything always starts, though, with the pet. We always look at the pet and see what kind of type they are or breed or something like that, and just the visual look of them, and then try to come up with something that visually makes sense or makes sense with the name or is a funny pun or something like that. Anything that, will add a little extra smile or laugh when somebody thinks about it.
And for myself as well, I take all that into consideration. And then I also do research about each pet, specifically if they're more of a realistic type pet, and take a look to see where they're from and what they might have eaten in the wild and maybe do like a fun spin on that. So before we move on, Steve, do you have a favorite PSF of all time?
Well, I'd have to go with the freeze-dried bananas for the Baker Squirrel Monkey, just because, of course, Steve Webkinz, the Baker Squirrel Monkey, is my avatar, and who I chose because I was always a big space nut growing up, and even still today, and so saw that freeze-dried food and identified with that as being an astronaut all through being a kid. So, yeah, it's just a fun little bit there for my favorite PSF.
Now, as we move on, so let's talk a little bit about recipes. You spoke a bit about that at the start. Can you take us through what it's like to invent just a simple recipe in Webkinz World?
I know there's a lot of people out there who very systematically go through solving them. So we're always trying to stay one step ahead when we do these things. So part of doing that is not only in the artwork that we create for the final product, the actual recipe food, we want to make sure that it actually doesn't give away what any of the ingredients are, but also in naming it. So while some of our early recipes, we kind of gave away a hint of like 2 out of the 3 items, or you could look at it and kind of figure out too quickly. I think we learned our lesson and just started making things a little bit more complex. So really, we just kind of come up with some sort of visual idea. It may start based on those ingredient foods, but then we just kind of make it more grand on that. And that's kind of the imagination is your limit, really, with coming up with these recipe foods.
Absolutely. Do you have any tips for people if they want to solve one?
Yeah, really, I would say that it's really a good idea to just ask a friend or check online and see what people have tried in the past. Even though that we might have come up and made things completely different, there is sort of a logic to them all. So a lot of people, once they've got them solved, they kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense that was made of this, and this, right? So there's a lot of that. And also, there's a whole kind of community thing. When you go to Daisy Doe's Diner, that's a place where a lot of people meet and cook together in a social setting. So that's a good idea to kind of come in there and, you can always, if you've got Kinz Chat or Kinz Chat Plus, you can ask people, hey, what have you tried? And does anybody have any hints for this recipe? Or has anybody, solved this recipe? So
yeah, that's really smart.
Yep.
Absolutely. And speaking of the community, one of the great things about food in Webkinz World, it's useful on one hand because you can feed your pet and keep them happy, and it's great in that sense. But also, a lot of food is collectible. A lot of it's highly collectible, too.
Absolutely.
So can you shed some light on the importance of food to collectors in Webkinz World?
A lot of times for special events, especially for things like Christmas time or at Halloween or Easter, we'll put out things that are released only once that year. And it's very collectible, very unique unique looking food. A lot of the candy in the candy collections is very unique. So it's always a good idea to pick up lots of fridges and stick them in your rooms, and just so that they don't get lost in your dog. So you can just create a Halloween room, say around Halloween time, and put in a bunch of the latest fridges there. And when you collect your candy, just store it away in there so you can always kind of look at it and enjoy it. Because sometimes when you eat the food, because it's only been released that one time, you can't go back to the W shop to buy it.
Yes.
You know, if your pet eats it, it's gone forever. So it's a good idea to kind of just keep it and collect it.
Absolutely. Those are great tips right there. So lastly, something I want to talk about is our Webkinz World chefs. At last count, we have 3 who are operating in Webkinz World.
Yeah.
The most famous is probably Chef Gazpacho, as people have mentioned. He's
been around with us from the very beginning.
Absolutely. And you can watch his show on any television, which is exciting. But recently, in the past year, Gazpacho's got a little bit of competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chef Daisy Doe has come into town, as everyone knows, and she loves healthy food. Do you ever visit her in her diner?
Absolutely. I was saying before that it's a great place just to go and see who's cooking and who's trying our recipes and trying to solve new things. It's a great part of the Webkinz community to kind of get together and try to solve recipes together. So Daisy's Diner is the place to be.
Yeah. And our third chef is probably a little less well known to some of our newer players because she's not that active anymore. It's Chef Sophia.
Yes.
And so, Steve, can you talk a little about her history?
Yeah, so she was introduced in a W Tales book that we did a number of years back. Anyways, she had come into town and she had opened up a dessert shop and had really made some interesting new things that had really put Chef Gazpacho on notice, and he really had to kind of dig deep and go back to his roots and figure out how to come up with some better foods and better desserts. And in the end, it just ultimately made him a better chef, and they kind of pair together at the end, I believe. And, you know, everybody in Kinsville ended up happier because of it.
That's true. And since then, Sophia's taken a little bit more of a backseat, but she's still around, and you never know. Like we used to say, she might come back in the future. Right. Okay, Steve, thanks so much for being with me to talk all about food and recipes. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was great being here.
You know, with all this talk of food, I definitely want to cook a feast tonight.
That's right, for sure.
And it's summertime, so there's so many things in season.
Yeah, and if you got a barbecue, you know, try the barbecue. It's a great way to do something really simple and really easy.
Absolutely. So thanks so much to everyone for listening. Our next show will be a little later this time, by the way. We'll be back on July 29th after taking a little summer break. So tune in then because we'll be talking all about the Wacky Zingos celebration.
As always, send us your stories and questions about anything to do with Webkinz World or the Wacky Zingos celebration. We love hearing from you and spotlighting our listeners on the show.
You can leave a comment in the section below this article or on YouTube, or email us at podkinz@gans.com.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.